Hello, good day, everyone, and welcome back to our Ultima markets webinar for today. So today we're looking at what's shaping up to be the largest IPO in global history. So which is I think everyone has known is about the SpaceX IPO. All right. So basically, what our webinar for today is gonna be positions for the early positionings for the IPO for the SpaceX. All right. So we are actually hosting this just a day before the anticipated June 12th of the Nasdaq listing of the SpaceX. So we should be able to trade under the ticker of the SPCX. All right. So this is what we're gonna have for today. So of course, I guess everyone is quite eager to understand how we're gonna navigate through these special events. Okay, so how we're gonna position ourselves for the SpaceX IPO, and what are the opportunity that lies between the inside the opportunity of this IPO. All right, so we're gonna dive in for today, and gonna cover on some basic knowledge of the SpaceX, and also of course what are the future prospect or the future growth or the opportunity in the IPO. All right, so the first thing, of course, we're gonna cover about what is the SpaceX, right? So what is this company about, and what are they actually doing, and what are the futures, the future aims or goals of this company, right? So the first thing, of course, SpaceX is fully named as the Space Exploration Technology Corp. So basically, I guess everyone know it was founded by Elon Musk in 2002, right, with a single original missions. Okay, only with one missions is to make the humanity a multi-planetary species. Okay, however, more than almost like I think 20 years later, all right, since until now, like almost 24 years, right? So the company has actually far exceeded the definition of a rocket company. So it's not only a rocket company. It's not only to aim at building a rocket, sending people to March to March or anything. Right? So basically, it's considered a global commercial aerospace company. All right, that's basically have the monopolies of the low Earth orbit satellites internet, and also a lot of, I mean, not lots, I mean, also of course included more on the space AI computing tracks and so on. All right, so these are all the things that the SpaceX actually is more than is more than just a rocket company right now, right? So this is actually a quote. If you look at here, this is actually the quote from the Rocket Lab CEO Peter Beck. Okay, so it's actually say that to date there's only two companies globally have truly achieved the scale orbiter launch. Okay, so one is SpaceX, okay, and another one is the Rocket Lab. So the other, like almost like 142 computers are actually failed in these parts. Means that until now, okay, there's only two private company. I mean, it's non-governmental company that's able to do this. Okay, so this is actually quite an impressive one. All right, for SpaceX. So this is the reason why the SpaceX is actually taking a lot of spotlight as they are going to launch the IPO on tomorrow, right? So of course, here are some things that we need to know. So why is this listing is so important, and why is this so special? Right. The first thing, of course, the SpaceX IPO is not just an ordinary public listing. Okay, so it's actually an event that can reshape the entire global capital markets. Okay, so one of the few things that one of the few states that we have here is the first thing, of course, is the record-breaking numbers that we have over this IPO. Okay, the first thing is, of course, the IPO, the SpaceX issue price is at $135 per share. Okay, so they are plans to raise the capital approximately like 75 billions. Okay, and if it may reach around 86 billions, okay, if the over allotment is fully exercised. So this is considered one of the largest amounts to raise. And of course, the implied valuation is approximately at 1.78 trillions. So I guess I think this, if you look at the news, we all know that this is one of the largest IPO. This is the largest, not one of the largest, it's the largest IPO, okay, in the global history, in the history, all right, in the entire history. So approximately, currently we are seeing based on the data, right, we are having like 250 billions in subscriptions, means that almost more than the 4 times of the offering, okay, of the offerings, means that more than 4 times of people are actually wants this IPO, right? So this is here is actually nearly 3 times of the Saudi Aramco IPO. Before the SpaceX, this is one of the largest IPO in history. So now it's obvious the SpaceX actually surpassing it. Okay, so so some people might ask, so where does the valuations came from? Right, so because we know that this is one of the largest IPO, and the valuation is very high, like 1.78 trillions valuations. So some might ask, so where does the valuations come from? So what are the things that provide the supports for these valuations, right? So this is some things that we need to know. So whether it's overvalued or it's not overvalued, the first thing we need to know is what are the key pillars, or what are the business model of the SpaceX. Okay, what are the things that the SpaceX actually do, right? So these are the 3 pillars that we need to know about the SpaceX. So the first thing, of course, okay, to understand, we need to understand why the SpaceX commands this massive 1.78 trillions valuations. So we have to understand that the SpaceX is actually not just a rocket company like what I mentioned just now. It's actually a multi-industry technology companies. Okay, so these are the 3 core pillars of the business of SpaceX. The first thing, of course, is the rocket launch. Okay, the space. Okay, this is a space thing. So basically, if we know that the SpaceX is actually considered the first private companies that launch the rockets to the space, right? So currently, the Falcon 9 is the launch vehicle with the highest frequency and strongest reliability globally. Okay, over the past 3 years, SpaceX alone has actually contracted the vast majority of the global orbital transport volumes. Means that they are the only ones that contracted most of the rocket launch projects. Means that if today, whether you are governments or whether you are a private company that want to launch the satellites to the space, most of them contracted through the SpaceX. So this is one of the modes, okay, for the SpaceX. Means that the only companies that do this. So basically, this is one of the strongest modes for the companies. Okay, means that there is basically at this point there is no competitor with SpaceX. Right, so this is one of the key pillars of the SpaceX business that provide the valuations. Okay, means that almost everyone is very certain that they're gonna stand out amongst all these companies. All right, so this is the first thing. And of course, the second thing is the Starlink. Okay, so this is one of the I think this was a massive cash growth for the company. Okay, so because as of the first quarter of 2026, the active Starlink subscriber has actually exceeded 10.3 million. Okay, so it's actually an increase of almost 100% year on year. Okay, so right now we are seeing 10.3 million active user covering over 100 plus country, right? So this is more than 100% of grow year on year on the user, on the skills of the users subscriptions. Right. So over the financial parts, the company is also projected a 11.4 billion of revenue. Okay, with a massive with just operating margins of 38.8. So almost you can see that this is where the company's cash came from, right? Because the Starlink's already covered on almost over 100 country globally, and it's actually expecting to expand its service, okay, to more in the futures, right? So who are not connected to the internet yet. So basically, they're actually providing the internet, the satellite internet. I mean, this is one of the, I think the first one, okay, because at this point, most of the internets are going through the undersea cables. So these are the first that, I mean, not the first, but the first that make it more, overall, I mean, everyone can access to it. Okay, so this is the first company that make it. Right, so this is one of the key cash flows of the company, which is generating most of the cash for the company. All right. So the third thing is, of course, the AI and the XAI technologies. Right. So right now, we know that the space is actually a space company. Right. But beyond that, the space actually also completely merging the Elon Musk AI company, the XAI, okay, to forms a one's entities. Means that in the future, the space launching is not only based on human beings, it's also based on the AI technologies, right? So basically, these parts has also building a strong revenue for the companies. All right, of course, still right now, it's still making a loss because we all know the AI are not profitable yet, okay, at this point, but it's a promising futures. It means that in the futures, once the AI technologies is getting stable, and then the cost to operate the AI is getting lower. I mean, if you look at the futures, almost everything at first they are going to be costly, okay, and eventually the cost price is going to come down. So the market is actually expecting that in the future, even right now that they are making a loss, but in the futures, this is going to be a major cash flow or the $1 trillion profits for the companies, right? So this is where the primary catalyst also came from. So basically, these are the three major pillars for the companies that support the $1.78 trillion dollars valuations. But of course, I'm not saying that whether it's overvalued or undervalued or some things, but it's definitely not undervalued, it's overvalued. But if you know about the tech company, they offers, markets offers pricing for the future value and growth instead of the current value. So this is the things that the markets actually are forecasting, okay, and expecting the future growth on, and which provide the value of $1.78 trillion, right? So this is basically the core pillars for the SpaceX business, right? So if we look at all the core pillars of the business, basically you can find that the business model is actually have the modes within it. Okay, the first thing, of course, the rocket launch and the Starlink is one of the major the modes for the business. Okay, the mode for the business means that this is what set them apart or put them ahead of the competitors. Okay, so these are the two things, and of course the AI is a futures growth prospect that supports this, right? So this is a three key pillar for the SpaceX, and this is where the valuation came from. So of course, the impact for the SpaceX listing is not just on the company itself. It's actually go beyond that. It's more on the global market as well as what we covered just now. Okay, it's not just about the company, and it's about the entire tech sector, and also the space economy and everything, right? So how this is going to impact on the broader pictures. So Beyond this, it's also built a strong foundations for the entire tech sector, right? So these are a few things that we came to see across. So why the markets are so exciting or so hopeful. Okay, so hopeful on the company listings. And so the first thing, okay, is this marked the turning point for the commercial aerospace. Okay, from a cash burning narrative to a scale profitable. Means that in the future, if you look at, like, for example, in the past when the NASA launched all these space explorations, so basically it's all for scientific purpose. Okay, and then you didn't make any profits. Basically, you are burning cash, you are burning money for the scientific explorations. But right now, SpaceX has made this difference, right? So the business has proven that the space infrastructures can generate real and sustainable cash flow. For example, the space launch for the satellites business, the contracts, all these contracts, and also of course the Starlinks. Okay, so these are all the proven state that prove that the space infrastructures can actually generate cash flow. Okay, and the second thing is of course the major test for the passive investing. All right, so right now the Nasdaq, okay, and also the FTSE Russia's and also the MSI indices are all planned to fast track the inclusions of the SpaceX. Okay, so they are planning that after 15 days of the listing, they're gonna include the SpaceX into the index, right? So this is gonna create some impact on the markets. Whether it's good or bad, we are still to know, because if the price go up, okay, if the stock price goes up, this is going to impact on the global index, okay, particularly on the Nasdaq or some things. But if it's go down, okay, of course the impact of the Nasdaq will be heavy as well. Okay, so this is something that we need to know, because it's going to create a stock market liquidities impact on the market. I mean, they're going to create impact on the stock market liquidities. So this is second things. So it means that in the futures, okay, especially on yesterday, we can see that the Nasdaq is actually on another day down, right? So if let's say, I mean, we don't know how's the listing going to be after that, but if let's say because it can be impact on a macro side, or even I mean if the global markets, the global tech continue to pull back on reasons, so this is going to impact on the IPO as well. Okay, so we are still don't know how it's going to impact, but definitely in the futures, the inclusions of the Nasdaq in the inclusions of the SpaceX into the Nasdaq and other indices is going to impact on the futures global stock market liquidities. So at least in the near terms, all right. So, and of course, this is the third thing is, of course, we consider this as the combinations of the ecosystem for the Elon Musk. Okay, so because the space is actually going to merge, is going to join the Tesla, the XAI, and the X together to build a strong ecosystem. Okay, so the AI computing, the satellite, internet, the social media, and also the autonomous driving together is going to be one ecosystem, right? So this is going to be a very big things. Okay, it's going to be a strong ecosystem that's going to reform the global markets, or even the global capital markets. If let's say we are an investor, so it's going to reform this. So we're going to see how this is going to make into the publics. Okay, so how this is going to impact the market. And the last thing is, of course, it's going to pave a way for the subsequent IPO. Okay, for AI company. Okay, like the OpenAI or the Anthropics. Okay, so if the SpaceX able to do a good IPO, okay, this is going to build the confidence for the next IPO, like from the AI, like for the OpenAI, for the Anthropics, all this company, right? So it's going to build a confidence, okay, and set a precedence for the next wave of AI unicorn listing. So if let's say this is a good, I mean, we're seeing the strong IPO performance. Okay, so we are able to expect more AI related company to release in the futures. Okay, so and it's going to be a special, a special moment for the Nasdaq, especially. Okay, so of course, we're going to cover later. I mean, for the Nasdaq reasons outlook, it might be going to a technical corrections. Okay, but of course, if I believe that tomorrow the IPO of the Nasdaq is going to help with the sentiments in near terms. All right, so this is something that we are going to look beyond just the SpaceX IPO. So these are things that are going to impact on the broader markets. All right, so these are some things that we're going to want to look at. All right, and the next thing is, of course, we're going to talk about what are the sectors that are going to benefit from the from the IPO of the SpaceX, beside the the company itself, right? So these are the few things that we're gonna look at. So some of the opportunities, of course. So like after the IPO, so if you unable to subscribe for the IPO, okay, so what are the other opportunity you can look at as well to prepare for the IPO? Okay, if let's say you are not subscribing, okay, of course after the IPO you can trade on the SpaceX ticker. Okay, but if you're not, if you're not, you want to join early, okay, so these are a few things that you can look at. Or after the IPO, you can also look at some of the opportunity that you can consider. Okay, so the first thing is, of course, the Rocket Lab. So you can look at this company, the Rocket Lab. So this is considered, if you're looking, if you look at the SpaceX as the first company, so the Rocket Lab is going to be the second one. Okay, so this is with the launch of the SpaceX, okay, the SpaceX IPO, okay, the Rocket Labs is actually the stock price has actually surged over 400% past year. Okay, so we can see that, based on the space technology right now and the cash flow model right now. So I believe that in the future, the Rocket Labs still has the potential to grow. Okay, so of course, but we still need to look at technical parts, right? So these are some things that we want to look at. And of course, these are the few what we call as computers that you can look at. Also the ASTS, Space Mobile. Okay, so this is also one of the direct to cell satellite communications. Okay, so it's actually some things like the competitors for the Starlinks. Okay, or the we don't call it competitor, maybe it's something that another same business model like the Starlinks. So this is also a good opportunity, right? And of course, the last thing is, of course, the space team ETF, right? So if you do not have the cash, or you do not have the amount to invest in those stock alone, okay, so sometimes ETF, or you don't have the time to invest or trade on the stock alone. So the space ETF is one of the good choice for you. Okay, you can opt for the ETF as well. Okay, so far this year, the space ETF has the space team ETF, okay, has accumulated almost $80 billion in capital inflow, okay, ranking second among all the ETF teams. So the BlackRock newly launched iShares Space Technology, okay, which is under the ticker of STAR, STAR, okay, so has a built-in fast track IPO inclusions for this company as well. Means they're going to track on the SpaceX IPO as well. So if you do want to spend your time to trade on the IPO, subscribe for the IPO, or trade on the stock after the listing, so ETF is one of the things that you can consider as well. All right, so these are things. All right, so basically these are all the opportunities that you can look at for the SpaceX IPO. Right, and the last thing is we're going to cover on what are the key growth potentials and the risks for the IPO. All right, so of course, as we all know, nothing is always perfect. All right, so right now, even though that we see that the market is very hype on the IPO, okay, the oversubscriptions of the IPO, 4 times of the valuations, and then sorry, 4 times of the offerings. Okay, the subscriptions amount is 4 times of the offerings, and then the valuation is at 1.78 trillions. So it's very massive, and it's very, I mean, you can see that the market is very high in overall. Okay, so is this a good things or is it bad things? So always look at it at a two different way. All right. So I believe that yes, it's still there's still very strong momentum. Okay, but everything is come with a risk, right? So we're gonna cover on the potentials, the bullish logics. So what are the growth driver that we can look at, and what are the things that we want to be cautious on, right? So this is the first thing, right? The first thing, of course, we look at the bullish logics. So in the short terms, of course, I believe after the IPO, okay, once the listing, okay, the IPO, the SpaceX may actually gain momentum. Okay, I mean, if you look at the past, okay, so I'm not making any predictions. I'm making this based on the past, what we call as the reference. Okay, almost those hype could support a short-term rally. Okay, so 15 days after the listing, okay, the Nasdaq 100 index will also include the SpaceX. All right. So we are expecting the market in short terms going to bolster the stock price. Okay, so you might look at the short term opportunity over here. Okay, so this is something that you want to look at. But remember, this is a short term momentum. Okay, the demands, the mechanical demands does not rely on the fundamental judgment. Means that it's actually only on the short term basis. Okay, so if you are a short-term traders, yes, you can still look for a potential growth, right? If I mean stock price grow, okay, so you can look for a rally in the price for a short-term period if you are short-term traders, right? And if over the midterms, okay, this is something that you might want to be cautious, okay, because over the midterms we might still see some corrections in the stock price, okay, because we know that even though the Starlink, for example, the Starlink scalability is still on a growing path, but is not enough to support the full penetration. Yes, it's still very low rates right now. So for right now, the midterm part, of course, is still a good one, still potential growth, but we might want to look at whether the Starlink is actually having good growth, because for first thing, the SpaceX, the space projects, the space launch is actually quite stable right now. Okay, the second things we look into is the Starlink, whether they can continue to grow the user. Okay, whether they can continue to grow the user, because this is where most of the cash flow came in, right? So in the midterms, we want to look at this. Okay, if let's say the growth is still potential, yes, it will still support the stock price. All right, and of course, the last thing is over the long term. Okay, the AI, of course, is a long-term growth driver. Okay, because even like for other companies like the Nvidia, the Microns, or whether the others, okay, they are all rely on the AI narrative to support. Okay, so because basically, if you look at the Nasdaq growth is based on the future valuations. Okay, we based on future valuations. So if the AI continues to pivot to a good side, okay, and the space is actually from aerospace to space AI. So this is one of the major. I mean, it's one of the I guess this is right now the only one that do this. I mean, you have ones in this space plus the AI, right? So this is one of the major driver for the long-term growth for the SpaceX company. So these are all the bullish point that support the bullish logic for the SpaceX company, right? So this is long-term, whether it's short-term to long-term. Okay, so these are the things that supports the growth for the SpaceX stock price. All right, but of course, so this after we talk about the bullish side, we're going to talk about the risk point that we need to be cautious. All right, so even though we are expecting the stock price for the SpaceX to grow, okay, never forget, market always have a bull and bear periods, okay, whether even though it's on a long-term bull runs, okay, we might still have a short-term bear moments, right? So in overall, expecting the AI, okay, the AI pivots may support the long-term growth for the SpaceX, okay, and then the Starlink's growth may support the midterm growth, okay, and of course the near-term is because of the hype or some things, okay. But for the risk over here, we want to be cautious on is the first thing is the overvaluations of the company, okay, or the IPO, or even into the AI tech sector, right? So the first thing is you can see that because there's a research firm shows that the calculations for the SpaceX is actually very harsh, okay? Because if the investor is hope to gain a 10% annualized return over the next 10 years, the SpaceX revenue by 2035 must reach 1.1 trillion. Okay, so it's about 60 times of the current value. The current revenue, okay, of 18.7 billion, means that the company needs to make 60 times more of what it generate now, okay, to achieve a 10% annualized returns. Okay, so if they want to do that, so it's considered impossible. I would say it's impossible. I mean, say it's more like unprecedented. Okay, means that it's still possible, but at this point there's no one achieved this. Okay, it's unprecedented yet in human commercial history to have that growth. Okay, so it's something that you might want to be cautious. So once the market hype is over, like for example, we say the short terms, the hype, okay, the stock price goes up, and then once the hype is over, okay, the investor might come to realize that the realizations that the stock price may be at overvalue. Okay, so at this point, we still expecting the stock price may have a period of pullbacks or even a short-term bear market. Okay, so this is something that we want to be cautious on. Okay, so and the second thing is of course the high growth assumption of the AI business. Okay, is right now, okay, we were seeing that the market is so hyped on the AI. Okay, because everyone is thinking that the AI is the next futures, and yes, of course, it's the next futures, but whether the business is a high growth, we are still not yet know. Okay, it's still highly controversial. All right. So, for example, like the AI revenue for the OpenAI or the Google's is still uncertain. They are not making a strong profitability yet. Okay, so it's still a lot of uncertainty. Okay, so if I mean, I will still expect some bear periods for the AI. I mean not bear periods. I mean the more constant periods for the AI. Okay, means that the AI might still go through a period of reformings, corrections, or some things. All right. So this is some things that I mean you can look at the previous dot-coms period. Okay, the time where everyone is so hyped on the dot-coms, and then suddenly the dot-com markets go into a reset. Okay, or a bear period. Okay, is a resettings. Okay, and then only come back stronger. Right. So this is something that I mean, if you look at this, is almost a circle or a cycle in the tech sector. Okay, so I'm not sure whether I'm not saying that it's 100% is going to go through that, but if you look at the past, okay, for the dot-com bubbles or some things, when market is hyped over some things, okay, the price going up, okay, the momentum keep going up, eventually it will go into a resetting, okay, and then it's only come back stronger. So I believe the AI might have the same path, okay, means that the cycles is now a very high part, and then eventually we might go into a resettings, and then maybe in the futures only a few AI companies actually stand out. Okay, we do know. Okay, so this might be the potential one. So these are all the risks that could put the space. I mean, if you are going to trade on the SpaceX IPO or the SpaceX stock price later, okay, so it's something that you want to be cautious on the near terms, okay, for the risk point. All right, so these are all the things that we're gonna cover about the IPO. All right, so to the end up, okay, so I guess this is almost the end of near to the end of our webinars. And of course, the last things we're gonna make a finalize. And okay, so of course, the SpaceX listing is a humanity first attempt to price the goal of the extending civilization to the cosmos. Okay, through the public markets, means that this is the first IPO that related to the space company. Okay, so it's not just a. I mean, why is this so hype? Is because it's no longer just an IPO. It's actually it's market periods that whether the space economy era is truly arrived. It means that we might see more of the space economy to come in the future. So this is considered a very bright future, right? So of course, whether it's actually a bright futures or whether it's a opportunities or whether it's high risk track full of uncertainty, okay, whether yes or no, whether it's a good or bad, okay, we as an investor, as a traders, okay, we must always prepare for every moment, okay, whether it's a good or bad, because as what we say just now, on a strong bullish markets, okay, on a bullish market, we still have a bear market would appear, whether it's a short term or long term. Like even for like we look at the Nasdaq, we look at the S&P. It's a long term growth. It's a long term. I mean, you can look at the scales is always going up, right? Correct. I mean, if you like what Warren Buffett always say, if you buy the S&P in 20 years, I mean, in the past 30 years, basically you are making a profit. But during these periods, we always have the bear markets. Okay, we have the crisis, everything. So it's very important that even though the SpaceX IPO is a potential one, is a very strong growth, you still need to be cautious on any risk point that could appear on the short terms to mid terms, right? So this is always something that we need to prepare on, right? So whether you're going to trade on the stock ticker or whether you're going to trade on the ETF, so you need to find out, okay? But if today you're going to, like for example, if you want to trade on the short term momentum, okay, for the SpaceX, okay, and then you might find that because the offering is quite high. I mean, like, per stock is 100. I mean, the price is like $135 per stock. Okay, and then without any leverage, you might need to have a what we call as a larger amount capitals to trade on it to make a decent profit. So if you plan to trade on the SpaceX, okay, but you do not have enough capitals or you do not, or you want to just trade on the price volatilities, right? Because we always want to trade on the price difference, right? So today, Ultima Markets also launched a SpaceX Pre-IPO products, which is under the ticker of SPCX USD. Okay, this is where you can search on our MT5. All right, so it's actually under the crypto ticker. Okay, under the crypto category. All right, so this allows us to trade on the SpaceX IPO. Okay, if you, I mean, right now we did launch it, so basically you can trade on the IPO itself. All right, so if you wanted to trade on the SpaceX pre-IPO, so this is where you can look at. And of course, for more information, you can actually contact with our staff at the Ultima Markets, right? Or you can look for your account managers or some things, right? So you can just reach out for them, right? So this is the latest product that we have at the Ultima Markets, all right? So I guess this will be the end for our webinar for today. And do you guys still have any questions? If no, then I guess this will be the end for our webinar for today. All right. So if you have, just leave the message on our chat and we will answer to it. All right. Thank you very much and see you guys.